Hello. People, have you ever been so confident and sure about something that you know that you can beat somebody to the ground so well? Well, this is what's going to happen to you with Romans chapter 9. My obsessive mind is going to take you and Jackson. You have Asperger's syndrome, but you don't use it. So let's just take a look at Romans chapter 9, shall we? Instead of chickening out and going, oh, well, watch Luke's videos. I'm going to challenge you, Jackson. Okay, I'm going to challenge you. Let's take a look at what the context of Romans chapter 9 is. Since it's about nations, let's just take a look at what it means. Let's start off with Romans 9, chapter, for the first verses of Romans 9, right? I'm telling the truth, I'm not lying. I have total sorrow in my heart because my people, my Jewish people, the nation that was given Christ, right, have rejected Messiah. I could want to be cut off from Christ for the sake of my people. But it is not as though the gospel failed because it was about the gospel. I'm telling you, verse 1, verse 2, for the very next, the verse here is about the gospel has not failed, for it is not all Israel who is Israel, and not all of Abraham's descendants are of the promise. So let me explain to you what the promise is. This goes back to Genesis, right? Same verses, remember Genesis 5, Abraham believed God, or Abraham believed God, and it was accredited to him for righteousness, in that place. Well, just before that, it talked about this promise. It talked about your descendants will be as many as the sands of the stars in the sky. Remember? And Abraham believed God, and it was accredited to him for righteousness. Very same verse is right there. This is what the promise is. But not all of Abraham's bloodline was of the promise. This is the context of Romans chapter 9. That not all Israel is Israel. That Israel had rejected the gospel because it was those who were according to faith. This is what it meant, and this is what's spoken about in Romans chapter 4. If you read it, when it says that it talks about those that the circumcision and the uncircumcision, that Abraham believed God and it was accredited to him for righteousness before he was circumcised. It goes right back to Romans chapter 4, believe it or not. So it was those who were called by faith who are considered Abraham's children. This is what Romans 9 is all about. Verse by verse, I'm going to knock you out of the park right now because I have the truth, and there's no way you're going to deny it. So then when he talks about Isaac, right, what is he talking about? There were two children. There's one child of the promise and one child not of the promise. There was Ishmael, who was not of the promise, and there was Isaac, who was of the promise. Not all Israel is Israel. Not all of Abraham's children, according to bloodline, are the chosen people. But it's through Isaac that you will be called. Is this talking about nations, or is this talking about what? Hello. This is talking about not all Israel is Israel. And then Rebekah had a children. That was Isaac's wife, had twins. And before they had done anything good or bad, before they had done anything, okay, that would mark them as God choosing them or them choosing themselves, right? Before that happened, right, God had chosen that the older will serve the younger. And it even said that in order that God's choice and God's plan, it was God's plan, not man's plan. God didn't look into the future then plan, because then it wouldn't be predestination. You see, it was according to God's choice and God's plan. Otherwise, it was your choice and then God made a choice. That's flip the scriptomania right there. So then what's spoken about next is this idea that Jacob I loved and Esau I hated, although they were in the womb and they hadn't done anything good or bad. This blows away Romans chapter 8 when it says, those I foreknew. So the next thing that goes on here, okay, it says that it talks about who are the children of God. The words are right in there. It talks about who the children of God are. So is this about nations, or is this about the idea of the children of the promise? The children of the promise are not all Abraham's seed or their flesh or their descendants, but those who would come to Christ later on and accept Messiah would become part of the Jewish nation. Yeah, it's about nations, all right. It's about us, the chosen. It's exactly what it's about. It's why it says right there, it gives you Hosea, where it says, I will call a people who are not my people, my beloved. It's right there. And when it says even us in verse 4, right? What if God wanted to show mercy, show the compassion and the love to his vessels of mercy? Who is he speaking about? Nations, or is he talking about even us in the very next verse? See, I can take you down verse by verse, and your Asperger's mind or whatever mind you have, and all of you people out there lose. And I'm going to show you. I'm going to keep going, and you're going to have to read Romans 9 over and over again, and check and double check and triple check and quadruple check with your little obsessive compulsive mind. And by the time I'm done, your brain is going to explode, and I'm going to tell you in love, thank you. God bless.